Yes, everybody. Russ and West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well, my friends. Happy Friday. We've done another week. Congratulations. And West Ham can't ruin your weekend this weekend. Even though, we've had 3 weekends, we still had we've got Monday's game coming. Like a dark cloud looming over us on Sunday night. Not happening. Not happening this week. But there is West Ham tonight. You can get your fix. Get your ass down to Rush Green. 7 p.m. kickoff. West Ham under 21s play Arsenal under 21s in the Premier League 2. It'll be a good game, and we should have a decent side out as well, I think, particularly with no first teamers. There's no first team football this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a couple of the pathway boys, as I call them, make some minutes just to get some minutes under their belt more than anything, because they haven't really played for a couple of weeks, really. So we'll see. I'm just speculating. I don't know, but I would assume so. But they say, assume makes an ass out of you and me. So anyway, assuming that when the time comes in terms of the Brentford game next Saturday, we should have the vast majority of our short-term injuries back, if we're led to be believed. Edson Alvarez is believed to be back in time. We've had some indication that Jean-Claire should be back in time for the Brentford game. Somerville, no. We know he's out for at least another sort of 7 to 8 weeks. And obviously Antonio and Füllkrug are sort of long-term injuries, although it is believed that Füllkrug is ahead of schedule. And obviously he's training in Dubai, doing some light to be met out there by Mikhail, who's going to be doing some rehabilitation out there as well. Anyway, what I wanted to do was have a little ponder. We've got time to think, haven't we, now? And have a little ponder about what could happen at the Brentford game in terms of, now, bar maybe Somerville, Potter will have almost his full side to his, well, not necessarily, because obviously Antonio and Füllkrug, but he sort of knew about Antonio before he joined, and Füllkrug as, maybe that has been superseded by the loan signing of Ferguson. So apart from Somerville, what could he do? And actually looking at some of the options, it does make me quite moist. I'll be honest, I'm quite what this could bring if I press the right button. It'd be even better, wouldn't it? Hang on. Bear with. There we go. So if we're looking at this, if we're looking at sort of, some names are already on the list. You're on the list, as Chris Jericho would say, in his WWE days. Areola, now clearly Areola is his guy between the sticks. His distribution, although a couple of times can be a little bit wayward, it's superior to Fabianski in my eyes. I think Fabianski is superior in terms of commanding his box a bit more, and they're probably quite even in terms of shot stopping. But clearly distribution is what's going to put Areola ahead of Fabianski in Potter's side. So, and again, I'm assuming a back three. So if that's the case, again, I know I keep saying assuming, that Jean-Claire is back, or even if he's not back, his long-term views would be, I would assume, Kilman in the middle, the left-hand side of a back three. Now, obviously, I'd have preferred if we'd kept Naif again and Kilman could have been in the middle. But I would think that would be the case. Or would it? Thinking out aloud. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to that. And then, but then who would be in the middle? Okay, let's put up what I would like to happen, and then we'll see what happens. And then I would put Wan-Bissaka in there. I still think that's his best place. Although saying that, he has improved a lot since when I remember seeing in terms of that sort of driving forward. and you might miss that. But again, if you look at the way that Potter on in previous regimes, his fullbacks are wingers in essence, and you saw that at the his first game. Really, he put Somerville right wing back. Now, I would assume that Somerville would end up being the left wing back, and you go left back, really? But he plays them like he almost like plays 5 defenders, 5 attackers, and you got to think someone like a Bowen or someone like that, how they play. They're up and down that wing quite a bit. They're helping out in defence, and that's why I mean I would love to see that happening. We'll come back to that and maybe change that around a bit. But this is just me spitballing. The idea is I'd love you to give us your 11 as well, position wise as well, because obviously he's put. I mean, you could put Mav in there, but clearly he doesn't rate Mav. He wasn't. I mean, we still went into the game on the Chelsea game. Mav was available, but he was on the bench. So really, he was the backup to the backup, really, in all honesty. Midfield, now, we're assuming that, again, sorry, I keep saying it, I know, that Edson will be back for the game. He picked up a small knock last time. And in terms of the next person next to him. Obviously, he's brought back JWP, which I think is great. Gives us another option. Although I feel that he has a penchant for Thomas Souček. And as he's alluded to before in his pre-match rather, he did try to sign him at Brighton. So, despite the fact we've all assumed that Souček could be the person who is in that midfield sort of quartet is the least likely to be a Potter player, he's someone that Potter wanted before. So, and actually, to be honest, if you've seen these last few games, I haven't got the stats actually, but passing and things like that, he seems to be doing a lot more passing with the ball. I will get some stats to bring into another video because I think it's important, to see how someone like, or could I do that now? Could I do that now? That could we be crazy and I could double up, you know, stranger things have happened at sea. Let's have a quick look, because I thought, particularly that Chelsea game. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but for me, Souček looked a lot more comfortable on the ball than I have seen him before. Let's have a look at Souček. I'm just going to go on Sofa Score quickly and look at his last few games. So let's go with how do we do that? I thought it was all clever then. Right, let's have a look at the Aston Villa game. How many shots did he? Not shots, passes. 54, 81%. 54 total, 81% pass completion rate. Against Chelsea, it wasn't as many, 26 and 77. Maybe I just made it up. 78%. Let's go to Man City on the 4th of Jan. 55%. That was pre-Potter, wasn't it? Fulham was pre-Potter. What we got, Fulham? 25. Yeah, probably not. Maybe I've just made it up. 73, maybe a slight increase, but it does seem to be a lot more comfortable on the ball. Maybe it's just me looking at it and assumptions, as I said, make an ass out of you and me. Now, in terms of the wing backs, now as I said, I've got a feeling that eventually you'll see a 2 wing backs in terms of Somerville and Bowen, because I'm going to move Alvarez a little bit. He's a bit tight on Bowen, but at the moment it could be. I mean, I think at the moment it is Emerson, but not that's. But there will be a moment in time where Ollie Scars takes over, and then necessarily maybe competes with Somerville. And they sort of, if they're going maybe away from home, he might decide to do one more defensive in terms of Ollie. At home, he might decide to go for more of a attacking and put Somerville. There's going to be, and there's options, isn't there? There's options there. And then the way I assume it would be, Ferguson up front, and then Kudus and Paqueta behind him with Soler there as well. I mean, you've got the option, obviously, of going even more attacking and bringing on, taking off Souček and putting on Soler. Eventually you'll have. I think you'd end up having something like this, which would make me very excited. I love Tommy, but if we did that, cool, woo. Or even at the moment, to be fair, did he do anything? Has he warranted anything to be dropped? No. He had a bloody good game against Chelsea. But there's options there, isn't there? Then you've got the likes of backup. You've got Soufal. You've got, Rodriguez, I think, is now not necessarily out of the picture, but, there may be some times where he decides to double pivot or triple pivot, maybe. But I can't really see that happening much. The right-hand side is interesting because, if he did bring in, that's why I thought he'd bring in another centre half. But to be honest, he doesn't really need it. And actually, I quite like that right hand side of Wan-Bissaka and Bowen. They sort of on the full when they used to play 4-2-3-1. Obviously, they would overlap quite a bit. But actually, I quite like that, and it would allow Wan-Bissaka to go forward anyway because Alvarez would drop back into that. Let's put Souček back in because he's going to put Souček in there, and we know he's going to put Emerson in there for the Brentford game. But I quite like that. You wouldn't necessarily. We've got a week, haven't we? We've got over a week, 10 days, 12 days until. Well, it's over a week now in terms of the game, but there's a lot of options there, and by having players back, as I said, you've got the likes of Soler, you've got the likes of Irving, you've got the likes of Ollie Scholes, you've got Lewis Orford. You're welcome back as Somerville soon. You've got a Cress to drop and move Kilman into the middle and put Cress. I think Cress has played all right at that sort of left of the centre back, and I think he could probably do that job if needed for the rest of the season. But I don't think we need it. It's exciting, isn't it? I think it's exciting now because there's still some unknowns. Obviously, you got Ferguson. I think he could bring a lot to the side in terms of being able to be available for knock-ons and things like that. You could imagine him, knocking. Look back at that goal that Fulkrug set up. Was it Villa in the cup? It was a Fulkrug knockdown out to the right wing back position, which was Cresswell, and then comes across. Or you can imagine Ferguson holding up, knock ball down to Kudus to run onto, or and they do like this crossfield ball at the moment. Crossfield ball, a lot of crossfield balls from it's clear that Potter likes his wing backs to have paint on the back of their heels in terms of touching, holding the touchline to stretch the opposition out. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited now. We've had a rough few games, but coming out of the Chelsea game, and the Villa game, ideally we'd have got, more than 1 point out of those two games, but is encouraging signs. And seeing the team have a go, I think that's the main thing for me. But seeing now all the pieces could be back in the puzzle for Potter in Potter's. Be interesting to see what way he constructs it. So yeah, interesting. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. I'll be back with Hammer's headlines a little bit later on. And actually tomorrow during the day, we have the first of our new series. Why? Like West Ham why? Why? Where we answer those questions that you might be afraid to ask. Why do we play in colour and blue? On the assumption that you should know the answers, but we have the assumption that no one knows the answers. So we're doing the first one. Why do West Ham sing I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles? And I get a bit emotional talking about it. I shed a tear talking about bubbles. So watch that tomorrow. Take care. Stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Come on, you bloody irons.